Hello and welcome to another Growth Chats video on A Stream in Life. Today we're going to talk about YOLO, or You Only Live Once, and the fact that we do believe in YOLO, but I think in a slightly different way than other people probably believe it, right?
Very true. So many people use YOLO as an excuse to get out there and do things right now. You only live once, so do all the things, spend all the money, eat all the food, because who knows what'll happen next year, next 10 years, 20 years, whatever.
I think there's validity to that, though.
There is definitely validity to that, because you don't know what's going to happen in the future, and
Absolutely.
you should try to enjoy your life.
You can't live your life in sacrifice.
No.
Like, you can't dislike your life now.
Yes.
And pushing all the glory and gratification off to the future.
True. And there's a lot of people who look to the future only for fun. So like, for example, the typical career where people will work crazy hours, not take any vacation, and figure they're going to do stuff when they...
I used to be one of those people.
Yeah, but figure they're going to do stuff when they hit normal retirement age or whatever, like someday in the future, and then that someday may not happen. And so I understand wanting to make sure you enjoy things now, but you only live once also means you need to be able to enjoy your life, your whole life. You need to make sure that by applying that YOLO principle doesn't mean that your future self, your future life sucks, which I think a lot of people forget about that part, that you only live once, but you might live a really long time. And therefore, you need to kind of like equally prioritize having fun and having a good life over the course of your entire life.
So really what we're talking about is almost like delayed gratification.
Yes.
And as you know, I'm a backer. I'm a backer-inner. I think that when I pull into a parking spot or a parking area, I have a lot more context of the parking area when I drive in. Therefore, I take a little bit more time to back in when I get there.
Yeah.
So I can just pull right out when I'm done with a lot more visibility of the parking lot on the way out, rather than just pulling right in and then having to back out with less visibility.
Which takes more time.
That's kind of a delayed gratification.
It takes more time. Another example of that is for RVers. You might know this already. Most of the best sites at campgrounds in terms of view and privacy are back-ins or pull-ins. They're not pull-throughs. Pull-throughs are obviously the easiest sites to get into.
Yeah, because you have roads on both sides of the campground or a campsite.
Yeah, so like unless it's a really, really high-end site where they're pull-throughs and you still get a massive site to yourself with no one next to you, which we've never had a pull-through that did that.
I thought we did in Oregon. I don't know, maybe not.
I can't think of one. But like most of the best views are and the best privacy, not having neighbors right next to you, are when you do a back-in site. Of course, backing in is going to be harder and take more time in the present and be more frustrating. But for the whole duration of your stay, you have a better site. That's another example of like putting your future selves not above your present self, just equalizing them. Another huge example of this in our lives is our whole early retirement deal and financial freedom.
Sure.
So we saved 70% of our income when we were working.
When we were both working full time.
And what that meant is that we didn't do a lot of things that we could have.
I think our restaurant budget was $50 a month.
We still enjoyed ourselves. We still went on vacations occasionally. We still had the things that we liked, but we didn't have all the fancy, expensive new toys and
cell phone upgrades. Yeah, didn't really do those.
And even now,
canceled cable TV.
Yeah, even now we do still do that. And I think another way of thinking about this is, in terms of the spending aspect of it, is the shopping cart. And I've talked about this on A Stream in Life before. We do a lot of our shopping online, especially when we were traveling and now when we live out in the middle of nowhere.
Amazon.
And sometimes when you are in the midst of something and you're like, we need that thing, it's very easy to just go, click the button, ship it, done, spend the money.
Instead, we just go add it to the cart.
We add it to the cart.
Add it to the cart.
And
add
we
it to the cart.
don't immediately buy it. Often for a week. We'll leave everything in there and then we'll go and be like, oh, we really do need this thing we put in last week. So let's look at everything in the cart and let's move stuff we think we could wait on. And this is a way of prioritizing our spending by kind of like not immediately having the gratification and immediately getting the thing.
I'm just buying junk.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess the brass tacks is how do we balance focusing on happiness in the future while not sacrificing our present selves?
The thinking it through, the shopping cart method, but in terms of everything is a great way to do that. So instead of thinking, I want this thing, I want to do this thing, I want to have this thing, I want to whatever, think about putting it on hold and thinking about it a little longer. It's not going to hurt to think about it for a few days, a couple weeks, depending on what it is. And that can make the decision process not be quite as like, I need it right now. Whereas you can have you can have other ideas and things come into your head and realize, okay, maybe we don't need this, or this can wait, or is this really something that my future self is actually going to want because I forgot about it. I think that helps a little bit.
I think it might help, at least early on, to understand that everything in your closet used to be money.
Yeah.
Or everything in the corner used to be money. Everything on your bookshelf used to be money. And if you take just, 15 or 20 minutes, walk around your house and look at all the stuff you have, that might give you a little bit of maybe an indication that most of the things I buy, I enjoy for a week or two, but then I just kind of put them away. And that might be the motivation to leave things in your cart for a little bit longer, so you keep that money as money rather than as something that we put away and don't really look at.
And then if you take that one step farther and said all these things that used to be money used to be time.
Oh.
So...
Oh, I see what you did there.
I just spent how much time to have all of these things, which, I mean, you only live once. That time could have been spent doing something you enjoyed more. So for the financial side of things, that's a really good way of thinking about it. But there's other things besides the finance side where we talked about the spots for RVing.
The backing in.
Yeah. But there's like bigger just life things. There's like the fact that you and I both want to go travel internationally. And obviously right now is not the time to do that. We have always said we're going to go and travel internationally for long periods of the year.
Especially when we don't have our puppies.
When our puppies are no longer with us. Yeah. And that sounds kind of, not negative, but morbid. We don't mean it that way. What we're saying is that we're prioritizing our time now to be with our puppies because we love our puppies.
One of them sleeping right over there.
And they're not going to be around forever. And granted, some things we want to see out there in the world may not be there eventually, but I think our time with our puppies is prioritized over the fun of going out and seeing things.
Well, Spain will still be there.
Yes.
For the most part, Spain will still be there in 5 years or 10 years. So will Mexico. So
and
will
hopefully
whatever.
Travel will still be available by then.
Yeah,
but yeah, so that's another example of that. And I think the RVing community fully embraces the YOLO principle in general, but a lot of people do that at the expense of their future selves. And they don't enjoy it, I think, as much as they actually could. And that's a lot having to do with finances. People will just jump in and be like, I'll figure it out. And then they'll have a lot of years of struggle. And who knows what's going to happen when they actually get to be 60 years old and they have no retirement. It's just you need to have a fully balanced picture. I don't think people should not go RV when they're young because, again, you don't know what's going to happen and you may not be able to do it in the future. And obviously, we prioritized RVing and doing the things we want to do when we're young, but we also took a more balanced approach of making sure that our future selves are also taken care of. Because you only live once.
Stockpiling some cash first, doing the RVing, and now kind of a hybrid approach to everything.
Exactly. So that's our little chat about YOLO, you only live once, and how we think it's a good concept and we do believe in it, but our interpretation is slightly different than many that we have heard. What do you think about that, you guys? Like, are we totally butchering YOLO? Should we stick to the original definition? Or do you think that the idea of delayed gratification and balancing your future happiness with your current happiness is important? Do you have any other examples of how you do that?
Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. Stay cool.
Stay healthy.
Stay healthy. Wear a mat. All that good stuff. And we will see you in the next video.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.